Hello everybody, good morning, welcome back. Hope everyone's doing okay today. So if you could tell by the stream name, we're wrapping up the library for an alpha release of sorts, which is good. Making progress. What I thought I'd do. Hey Yves. So what I thought I would do beforehand, I did this yesterday, just as kind of a small test. And what I thought I'd do is kind of demonstrate it live for you guys. And going over, what's up? What's up, Boo Boo? David? What I do is go over kind of how to use it and look at a Raylib example. Raylib's really cool library, and they have, Ray has some basic examples on his site, on his landing page. So what I'd like to do is maybe choose a simple one. Let's choose like maybe not the basic window, but like this moving the circle one, right? So you can move this ball around with the arrow keys. Doesn't really work too well in the browser because it also moves the window. But you can kind of show how to do this in Gunslinger with the immediate mode that we have, and kind of compare code. You know, what does it take to do it in Raylib versus what would it take to do it in Gunslinger? So for those of you that are used to using Raylib, you get kind of an example of what it would be for Gunslinger. What's up, Mr. King Champ? 1000. All right, so where we left off yesterday, I was struggling with some of the text rendering utility for the immediate mode. I finally figured that out, so let me kind of show off where we are. Okay. So this is what we have, all capabilities right now. So we have both line rendering and triangle rendering for different primitives. We have 2D and 3D rendering, you know, for what it's worth. Texture mapping for all the primitives is working, and then font rendering, both working in 3D and 2D. All the Ds. So that is where we are now. Audio loading, all that kind of stuff is obviously working, as you can hear. So let's go ahead and move over to doing this guy. I'll show how to do just a basic Gunslinger application from scratch. Are there enough jobs in graphics? I get job offers at least weekly, so yes, there are. Now that doesn't necessarily mean they're good jobs or stuff you might be interested in. I think they're all really interesting. I don't, you know, I'll work anywhere, honestly. But yeah, there's plenty of work, at least for now, until the world ends. What do I think about Rust? It's very complicated looking. We have a guy in the Discord that uses it, and I can't understand anything when he posts it. It's a lot smarter than I am, I'll say that. I like C. C's easy. And I'm easy, so it works. All right, so let's go ahead and start doing this. So first thing you want to do is we're going to actually define our Gunslinger implementation, and then we'll include the library. Okay. We also want to use immediate mode drawing, so we're going to include that utility. All right. And then we'll have our main function. Which is GSMain. And it returns our app description. And for now, we'll just have an empty app description, which isn't going to fill anything out. It's just going to be empty for now. This is the simplest Gunslinger project you can have. So if we compile this and I do it correctly, I think the issue might be that. Let's see, 10. Yeah, it doesn't like that it's empty. So here, we'll do this. Okay, and then when we load it up, we'll get kind of a blank screen, creates a window for us, a Opengl context, all that stuff. Okay, now we can't close the window by escape. We can do it via the X though, so we'll do that. Okay, so let's look at the code for Raylib, and then we're going to convert it. Do 2 screens here, move this guy, we'll keep him here, and then we'll have our code over here, and then we'll go back and forth between the two. And let me do syntax highlighting for this guy. Okay. So he sets the screen width and the screen height initially to 800 and 400, so we'll do the same. Okay. Now, we load it up, we'll get the same dimensions that he does. And then we have this ball position here, which is going to be the screen width and the screen height over 2. So what we're going to do is create a vec2, let's call it BP for ball position. And then in our initialization, we'll actually set that to our window size for the screen width. Now we can get that with this command. So it gets the window size as a form of a vector and returns that to us as a vec2. And then we can set our ball position to be the center of the screen, like that. And that's everything. Okay. So right now we don't have a way to draw. So for Gunslinger, there's a couple things you need. One of those being a command buffer. And then since we're using the immediate draw utility, we'll need that as well. Okay, and then we're going to initialize those in here. And they both follow the same syntax to create these for you. Okay, we should be able to compile and run that now. It should be fine. And we're still good. Let's go ahead and make it to where when we hit escape, we will close out the application. Right now it doesn't do anything for the update loop because we haven't given it an update loop. So let's make our update. And we'll set that in here so the Gunslinger knows to call this. You can verify that that is working by just dropping a print. So here we are, calling update every frame as fast as the application's running. All right, so let's make it to where when we hit the escape key, we'll close the application. Now when I hit escape, there we go. All right. And then let's look at his code here for actually updating the ball. So I'm just going to copy it directly. And we'll convert this over. Okay, and instead of ball position, we have BP, and then we'll add those. Just because I like the way this looks, I'll format this a little bit. There we go. Okay, so now when we're updating, we'll look for these key codes, and then we'll do certain things with it. Now if we look at, tell you what, let's just make this easy. If we look at this, so here for the draw function, he sets begin drawing, we clear our background to a white, we do some text with dark gray, and then we draw a circle at the ball position with a radius of 50 and a color of maroon. So we're going to do pretty much the exact same thing. So for the immediate mode, we're going to set our camera, set our view matrix to be a 2D projection matrix, view projection matrix. And so what this gives us is a camera and a projection matrix that maps from the top left of the screen down to the bottom right. And so now every coordinate that we give for all of our objects will map to that. Okay. So then we're going to draw text and then close this. Let's do it at 10:15 and we'll do the same text. So if we look at GS draw and then we look at GS text, so it takes our immediate mode object, because we're going to buffer commands into that. It takes X, takes a Y, so we're going on the screen. It takes our actual text. It's going to take a pointer to a font asset, whether or not we want to flip the text vertically, which is used for 3D rendering, and then RG, B, and A for the color. Okay. If you pass in a null for this asset font, what it does is it gives you the default font that comes with the immediate mode. So we're going to use that because we haven't loaded up any fonts with the asset manager. We don't want it to flip vertically. And then for the color, we go back to the color that he was using. I think it was a dark gray. So we'll just do something similar. So let's do 10, 10, 10 with an alpha of 255. Okay. Now if I load this up, you're not going to see anything just yet. Also misspelled this. You're still going to get a black screen. And that's because we're not actually submitting anything to the GPU right now. All we're doing is we're buffering up commands into the internal command buffer for the immediate mode. So there are a couple things that we can do to get this to submit. The first thing is that we have a utility function inside of the immediate mode called render pass submit. So you pass in your immediate mode object, your global command buffer that you're using, if you have one, and then you're going to pass in the color that you actually want to clear the screen to. So I think he was clearing it to a white. Yeah, so we're going to clear ours to a white. And there's actually a utility macro, just GS color white. And then the last thing you want to do is to the actual graphics backend, you want to submit your final command buffer, which is that. And that's a full render pass. Now when we draw, we should get our text, we clear the screen to a white, and then, yeah. Hey Dindy, welcome. Okay. All right, so the last thing to do now is just do the circle. So again, he just draws a circle at the ball position, and we'll do something similar. So there's a circle function. If we actually look at the signature for it, it's this guy here. So you're going to pass in a reference to the immediate object, where you'd like the center to be, both in the X and the Y. So for ours, it's going to be bp.x and bp.y, because that's where the ball's position is. For the radius, we'll do the same that he did, which is 50. So segments is how many triangle segments do you want to use in order to make up the ball, the circle rather. So it's a bit of an optimization thing. The more you do, the more smooth it'll be, but the more verts that you're adding on to the object. So I'll just stick with 32. That gives it decent smoothness, but it's not too much. For the color, he had a maroon color. So let's do something similar to that. We'll do 200. Let's do 50, 10, and then we'll make it fully opaque. And then for this primitive type, this tells the immediate mode what you want to draw the circle as, whether it be lines or triangles. So we will do triangle. Let's compile that. Should be good. And now when we run, we don't see anything. I think the reason is because of this. Yeah, so there's one thing in here. This is binding the texture atlas for our text. So what we need to do is clear that so that we get a white texture with our text, and then we can call our circle. But here we go. So now we have the same program as Raylib, so the Raylib example. And it's about 40 lines of code. So there you go. Now if I get rid of, I think that's, I mean his is 48 lines or so. I'd say it's comparable. Okay. All right. So with that, I'm fairly happy with the direction that this thing's gone. So what I think I'm going to do for the remainder of the stream is I would like to actually start packaging this up for a release, so I can actually put it onto GitHub, and then people can start using it if they want and can move on from there. So what I need to do is I actually need to make a project template for this. That's kind of similar to what all this stuff is here. It really needs to be something like this. So no asset directory. Have a simple main function. The third party has all of the external stuff in it. What has the Gunslinger library, rather. And then that should be it. Okay, so let's go ahead and start doing that. Make sure that I have the up-to-date. Okay. Let me open this up, make sure that this all compiles. Okay. So what would be a like a good hello Gunslinger example? You guys can help design that. Let's get rid of all this. Just simple text that says hello. Something like that. I don't know. Could do something like that, or we could do like I was playing around with this last night. The z-axis. Do like a rotating sphere. Could do that. Would that be a cool, simple hello world program? Is that too complicated? Let me turn this down a bit. Yeah, I don't know. I just think that's bright. I think just a simple, just doing text is kind of boring, but maybe this is too much. I don't know. Let's say that that's the example. I mean, it's only 40 lines of code. It's finished. Yeah, it's well, the what I wanted to get done for this to be pushed to the GitHub is finished. So the idea today is I'm going to write a little project template, just a starter project template that includes some simple bat files and bash files for Linux, OS X, and Windows. Includes the library. Has like a simple, really simple program here, which uses the immediate mode drawing. Gives you a hello world, more or less. Let's try to figure what the hello world would be. Show something off, but not make it so complicated that when you look at the simple program that it just turns you off. So that's why I'm looking at this. Like, is this too much? I don't know. So this is kind of the idea I have, is do like you're in the center of a rotating sphere that's drawn with lines, and then you have the text that says hello. It's kind of my idea. I think I still have that bug. Hold on. Yeah, I do. Should be like that. I think this is okay. I don't think it's too complicated. So. So this is incorrect. Third party include. Okay. And then okay. So these scripts are fine. Let me verify. We should probably make build scripts, both bash and bat scripts that are root directory. People complain, or at least are confused by the fact that you have to call it from the root directory and call into this procedure to build. I just like it because it keeps the global root directory. It's not like a ton of scripts for all the builds. It looks gross, so I just don't like it. But I understand the confusion because people want to come into the project, whatever, go into here, go into wherever it is, and then just double click this. I understand that. So if there's something that's root level that just says like build, you know. See, Dangerous Tuber asks, is this similar to Javid's header-only game engine? Yeah, it's similar in the same vein. It's more similar to Sokol. So if you've ever used the Sokol library. The main differences between mine and Javid's. His is C++. This is a C99 framework. I don't, at the core level of the framework, I don't do anything to hold your hand. Which means that you have pretty much ultimate control over everything right above the platform layer that's required to get that open. Because I don't want to take that away from the user. Now, that being said, I have written utilities that sit on top of everything that you can include in order to have a little less control, but more convenience, if that makes sense. So this immediate draw utility is something that you can include, sits on top of everything, and you can do stuff like draw simple spheres, draw text, you know, with a default text rendering, stuff like that. I have examples where I have more explicit pipelines that kind of demonstrates that, right? So here, this actually goes into more of the explicit backend for some of the graphic stuff, right? So handles to graphics pipelines, handles to render passes, to shaders, to different buffers, so like uniform buffers, sampler buffers, vertex index buffers, textures that you create in the back end, stuff like that, right? Creating your actual shader code, setting up your command buffers directly, and then here's, you know, setting up all of your graphics resources in the back end using different descriptors. So it's, you know, it's right above writing direct graphics interface code, or not interface, but what's the word? Right above, like, writing explicit OpenGL code. You know what I mean? The difference being is that I like the way Sokol does it, in that he writes his backend as if it's an explicit renderer and then maps that down to implicit renderers. The only thing Sokol doesn't do, I don't think he actually uses explicit rendering in the backend. He doesn't have something for Vulkan. Yeah. So the idea with this is, let's see. So for the graphics pipeline, the idea with this is to make it explicit, map it down to implicit rendering backends. So right now the only thing that's implemented is the OpenGL backend, but to make it easy to be able to map directly to explicit backends like Vulkan and DX12, which is where this will go. I also have plans to do WebGL, OpenGLES, be able to support Raspberry Pi, and then have a stripped down version of the library that you could use for stuff like Arduino, with maybe some software rendering. That's the plans anyway. So for now, if you've been following the streams, I've been working on getting this implemented and ready to go for some kind of release, and that's what I'm trying to wrap up today. And then I'll do a more production quality video covering it. So I think this is okay, where this is your basic hello world. Has some simple input querying, some of the immediate mode utility stuff, actually submitting to the command buffer. Yeah, I think that's okay. Is the stream freezing up? Shit. Let me close everything. No, it looks like I'm having issues with some of my bandwidth. This happens every once in a while. I really need to switch ISPs. What I have is not cutting it anymore. Annoying shit. God damn it. Probably looks slow because of the stream. It's just the stream. I might have to kill the stream. Maybe start it over if I can figure out what's going on, but there's something happening where I don't know. It seems like every week, at least one day every week, I get some weird just bitrate issues. I don't get it. Annoying. Let me watch it for a second, but if it keeps jumping around, then I'll probably kill it. You're asking why the Hello World example looks slow. It doesn't. It's running at a consistent frame rate. It's the stream. Which is annoying. Like I said, once I release this, I'm going to start working on a video to actually present it and then go over the entire framework in detail. So you're going to get a presentation about the philosophy behind it, why I made it, how to use it. I'll go over like some simple examples. I was thinking like making Pong. I think I've talked about that before. So no, it keeps jumping in and out. It's annoying. Just to show that this is consistent. So right here I'm grabbing the frame time from the platform layer and then displaying that to the screen. It's just buffering again. All right, guys, the stream keeps buffering in and out. So it looks like this morning it's gonna act up for whatever reason. But all right, I am going to release this today, and then I'll make an announcement on the page. I'll make an announcement in the Discord. So because the stream keeps acting up, join the Discord. Come in there. You can talk and chat with me. Yeah. Sorry about that, but nothing I can do. All right, I'll talk to you guys later.